hello there once again. We are back with our money dialogues conversations with our lead financial expert, Mr. Joseph Kanani. We are delighted to be coming to you from the Silverside Hotel right here in the heart of Nakuru City, section 58. So karibu sana for our amazing, enlightening and educative dialogues. I've been learning quite a lot from these money dialogues, and we all need to be able to know how to navigate money, and especially at times or even for such times as this. So today we shall be discussing Chamas and peer banking. But before we do that, I will allow our lead expert to just say hello and say something.
Good evening, good morning, good afternoon, whatever time you're watching us. Karibu sana to the money dialogues, as you've heard. Today we shall discuss about Chamas. I'm sure one of you who is listening to us is a member of a Chama, so we need to let you know how to develop it further or to see whether you're benefiting from it or not.
Wow. So Joseph, let's jump into it. So let's discuss Chamas. What are Chamas?
Okay, everyone has their definition of Chama, especially now that Chama is a Kiswahili word. And mostly used in Kenya. Statistically, they say that out of 10 people, at least 3 are either in a Chama or have been in a Chama.
Yeah, true.
And people form Chamas for different reasons. Common reason is welfare. That if your people are in a family or you work together and you want to take care of one of you when they're in a problem, maybe a sickness or a burial, so you form a welfare group, you call it a Chama. Others are in it for investment. That is, they contribute a certain amount of money, they have a goal, maybe to buy property, land, etc., or to start a business. So that also becomes a Chama. But people might call it an investment group.
Oh yeah, true.
And then, and then there's the dynamic Chamas. They have both the welfare arm, they have also the investing arm. But most commonly, what we call Chamas are actually merry-go-rounds.
The merry-go-rounds, yes.
Yeah. So, but today we shall be discussing on how to maybe, ensure that the merry-go-rounds becomes a proper Chama, where every member, it structures. Learning and all that, where every member benefits at the end of it all.
Ah, nice. So where and how did the idea of Chamas come about?
A very good question. There's a guy called Mohammed Yunus. Mohammed Yunus was a lecturer in Bangladesh back in 1974. So a small history so that you can understand where the whole concept came from. So he was a lecturer of economics in a small village in 1974, and around that time there was great famine in that place. And what used to happen is he would come out of the classroom, and when he went to the streets, he would find people dying of hunger. Children, men, women, all ages, they are starving and they're dying. And it hit on him that is there a solution that I can come up with to help these people come out from their dire conditions? And when he tried to check his textbook for a solution, there wasn't, because he basically found out that what he teaches in class is very different from what is happening on the ground. So he had to ditch the textbook and come up with a way of alleviating. Yes. So the easiest way to go was to look to the government or other agencies for help. That is in form of charity. But he later found out that charity is not as good as credit. And he came up with the concept that people have ideas, people have ambitions, people have dreams. But what they lack is the motivation to achieve those dreams. So instead
financial motivation in this case?
Financial motivation in this case, and credit in this case. But in that dire condition of these poor people, there was no way the bank could lend them any money. So Chamas came then from 1976 in Bangladesh, when he tried to find a way of delivering credit to the least suited candidates for credit.
Okay. Wow, interesting. So tell us about what you think. Okay, you've already mentioned what inspired Mohammed Yunus. That's his name?
Yes, that is his name.
Okay, so do you think Chamas are for the poor people? You know, the merry-go-rounds that you see? Am I in elite clubs? They call them different things.
I think, yes, as you're saying, Chamas, okay, I don't want to say that they are for only the poor people, but they are a good vehicle for the poor people. Because statistically, if you look like in a country like Kenya, I think we have already stated earlier in this episode that the people who earn 100,000 shillings and above are very few.
Yeah, true.
The multitude of the people are the ones who are surviving on less than $1 per day and all that. Worldwide, statistics also show that 80 million people are super rich. 80 million out of 8 billion people. So meaning 80 million.
80 million people out of a global 8
billion.
So that's a very small percentage.
It's 1%. So meaning 99% are living on less than $1 per day, or they're living on what we'd call poverty. And it's not that there is lack of money that is the reason why people are poor. It's how to access that money.
The money, yeah.
Yes, because in most cases, it circulates within the top 1%. So it never falls down to the 99%. So Chamas, by having access to credit, it helps the small person or the person we are calling poor to be able to now serve his goal or his ambition with the little money that he gets to reach maybe a height higher than where he was before the credit. Yes, so I can say Chamas are for the poor people, but now since we are more enlightened and we are living in a very dynamic world, Chamas can also help those people who are in the middle class or even in the upper class to achieve more goals, since at the moment getting funding from institutions like banks, etc., is becoming difficult.
It is true. Well, very, very true. So why don't banks offer credit to the poor?
One good reason is that banks are profit motivated. And being profit motivated, it means that they try to maximize profits and try to minimize risk. A poor person, even before the eyes of a bank, even before the eyes of a shopkeeper who wants to give you credit, they look first at the risk. This person doesn't have a job, doesn't have a source of income, doesn't have any cash flows that are coming from any of his projects. So according to the bank, this person is very risky and they cannot be able to lend them money. Second reason, even if you were to access a bank for a loan, banks have what we call predatory interest rates. Predatory in the sense that the interest rates are very high.
Very high, true.
Like if you do a case study of the Kenyan banks currently, after the central bank set the base lending rate at a certain rate, the banks also increased their lending interest rates. So currently banks are lending money at between 18 and 20-something%.
Yeah, I saw that.
Which is very high. and
especially with the economic situation right now, you know. True.
And also, it also happens that the government is issuing treasury bills and treasury bonds at an interest rate of 15%. So meaning banks would rather invest with the government because they have an assured interest return of 15% than invest in a poor person who they don't know whether they'll be able to pay the money or not.
Exactly, true. Yeah. Wow. So how can a Chama work for me, for you, for somebody watching this?
That's a very good question. And I will try to illustrate it maybe using an example or two. First of all, we have to elevate the normal chamas that we have around, what we call merry-go-rounds, into maybe more stable or more functional chamas with structures, with training, and with a shift in the mindset of why people save and all that. By that I mean, one, the merry-go-rounds is a system of circulating money without that money earning anything, whereby if we are 10 members, each member will have a turn of receiving every other member's contribution. So it basically means member number 1 is receiving the whole amount in total and then repaying it back to everyone.
Then the other 9 members.
The other 9 members. Then at the end of it, they can either disburse or start all over again. That also has a high risk because it means the first member who gets the money, what is his motivation of staying in the merry-go-round? Because
assuming they get lost.
Yeah, they can get lost, they go missing.
Or even in the case of an unfortunate death.
Exactly.
Exactly true.
Yeah. So we have now to elevate our thinking from that level to a higher level, where now this Chama has bigger structures. Where one, there is a saving culture. Saving culture. Yeah, where the members agree that at the end of every period of time, maybe a week or month, each and every one of us has to save something for security. Yeah, so it means that member has a subscription to that organization. That member has something that is holding them
from leaving there.
Exactly.
Yeah, true.
So one, when they have a saving culture, that is also something that will psychologically work for them because they'll know every time I get an income, I should not consume the full amount. I have to save some purposely for the Chama that I have an obligation towards.
Yeah, true.
So the second thing is that now these members must benefit from this organization through borrowing. That the contribution of every member that is called savings turns now into capital, which can be lent in smaller amounts to 1 or 2 of the other members. Then all the other members become co-guarantors to these members who are taking the loan. So meaning we have removed the function of the bank from lending because now we have raised the capital through our savings and we have co-guaranteed each other, removing the necessity for having what we call collateral.
Yeah, true.
And then the members have to make sure that they pay back the money plus some interest, or if there's no interest, at least they have to pay back the money so that they can form a bigger pool of money where every other member should be able to borrow from. Wow. Then the structure-wise, a good Chama should have at least a chairperson, a secretary, and a treasurer. Okay. The chairman is basically the person who will be in charge of the meetings that the Chamas have, in charge of, guiding the Chamas towards a specific vision that they have. Yeah, if it's an investment Chama, if it's a welfare Chama. So there has to be someone who carries the vision and guides the rest of the group towards the vision. So the chairman or the chairperson must be a good leader. True. Then there has to be a secretary. Because most Chamas, or the ones you're calling merry-go-rounds, most of them do not have any kind of records. Like, they'll just remember by memory, last week tulipatia Mama Nani, so this week is Mama Nani. Or they do balloting where they write names on papers, then whatever number you pick, that is how you'll get the money. True. But now if you have a structure where there is a secretary, it means that now the secretary will be able to have an organized format of keeping records, where they have the details of each and every member, the residence, the next of kin, in case someone disappears or someone passes on and they have to refund their savings to someone. And also convening meetings. That's the work of the secretary. Yeah, true. And of course, there has to be the treasurer. The person not necessarily entrusted with the funds, but the person who will do the accounting for the funds. How,
like a record, somebody to keep records. Like
someone who keeps records. Someone who will also, he knows who has not paid. Yeah, who needs to pay.
Yeah, even doing the follow-ups.
Yeah, exactly. So that kind of a structure will help now the Chama move from just being a merry-go-round where at the end of maybe a month or two, people are tired, people disperse, to something that will help people generate an income. Wow. The other maybe last thing I would say about it is that for maybe a Chama now to develop further, because our aim, maybe as even we talk to you, is to convert every Chama into a peer bank.
Into a peer bank.
Yeah.
Before you get into peer banking,
Yes.
where we've seen Chama and self-help groups, what's the difference? If maybe you can explain that.
Okay, as I had already stated earlier,
Okay, sorry, okay.
the Chamas is that informal organization of people with different agendas, but if the Chama is registered by maybe the Ministry for Interior Affairs, I think, or for Culture, the registration certificate reads it's a self-help group.
Oh, now that is clear. You know, because I think we get a lot of information, so we don't know whether the Chama is different from a self-help group, from a merry-go-round. So a self-help group is a Chama.
Yes, that has been registered
with
by
the ministry,
by
with
the ministry,
government.
exactly, and has a certificate.
Ah, nice.
Yeah, so that I think is useful, especially for the hustlers fund. I think groups are getting that money, but if they are registered, and maybe even for more formalities, like to make sure that your Chama is intact, it's also advisable that you be registered through the ministry. I think the DC's office usually do that to get the certificate to make it a self-help group. Yeah.
Wow. So our next episode is on peer banking.
Yes. So we are looking at the steps that we should move because it's all about growth. We move from merry-go-round, we move to Chamas, then we move from Chamas
into peer.
We go to peer banking.
Wow, wow. So that is end of our first episode on this second series of Money Dialogues. So we have been talking about Chamas. We shall come back with this very conversation on Money Dialogues and discuss what peer banking is. So thank you for watching. Remember that Money Dialogues is sponsored by the Habu Deco and Ufalme Wetu. Bye-bye.